Hello and welcome to the Record Club, brought to you by Record Store Day, the official charts, and National Album Day. I'm proudly in association with Bowers Wilkins. My name is Jess Izzat. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are very excited to say that our guests are the Cribs, on to talk about their brilliant new record, Selling a Vibe. So if you've hung out with us here before, you will know that we're going to be spending the next half an hour or so talking to Gary from the Cribs all about the new record. And then we're going to be saving some of your questions to answer in the second half of our chat from about the album. So if you want to get involved, drop us a comment in the question in the comments section below, and we'll get to those in the second half of our chat. And on top of that, one lucky person who sends in a question today is going to be randomly selected to win a pair of these Bowers and Wilkins PX7 Season 2 over-ear noise cancelling headphones. Yes, the album is sounding amazing in them, so don't miss out. Get your questions to us. If you haven't already got yourself a copy of the album, like I do, then make sure to get one from your local record store. You can order one, support your local, and yeah, do that once our chat with the guest is over. But first, let's get straight into this week's Record Club, the first of 2026. Hello, Gary from the Cribs. How are we doing?
Hey, good morning. I'm fine. It's early here on the West Coast, so yeah, I'm a little sleepy, but I'm all right.
I enjoy that. If anyone in the UK is listening, was like, it is. Yeah, it's definitely evening. Well, evening-ish over here, getting a bit dark. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us nice and early. So before we get stuck right in, every single week on the Record Club, we like to kick things off with a question from one of the many amazing independent record stores in the UK. I know that you did an in-store recently. I wonder if you visited these guys. But the question this week is from Pine Vinyl in Southsea. Oh yeah, yeah. It
We
says
did
that
we did
they
visit
enjoyed
them.
hosting you.
Yeah, we visited them for it was I think we were there for like an hour or something like that. Just like met a few nice people. It was cool.
So was there time for a pie or no?
Yeah, we did it like the good they've got like they had vegan pies, which for the Cribs was really good because like we've got a bunch of vegans in the or veggies at least in the crew, and yeah, like some very independent vibes, like good coffee and stuff. So yeah, I we enjoyed that little visit.
So they've actually gone very big on their question. They said, "Congratulations on your top five new record. It's great. We know how hard you worked to get that, and with your record shop in-store tour as well as out-store tour of the country. With that in mind, we wondered, in your 22 years of being a band, what are the biggest changes that you've seen in the industry?"
So it's pretty radically different, obviously, but it's funny because when we first came out, 2003 was our first like major release, I guess. The record industry at that time was still like much more like it was in the 90s, it was still a very well, it's all physical, which meant that like when the Cribs would put singles out, we would have like two 7 inches and a CD or like whatever. So like there was a necessity for like B-sides and bonus tracks, and so that's a tangible difference, a really noticeable difference, because that when we started out, that's what we were into. We were really into this idea of yeah, releasing physical records, particularly singles, and we always like grew up loving B-sides and like obscurities and stuff. So so that was something that really mattered to us and something that we really enjoyed. Um, but yeah, I mean, the music industry, like in the night, like, so that was the early 2000s. As I say, it was more like it was in the 90s, which in turn had more in common with the way the music industry was in the 60s than it does with the modern age.
Mm.
I remember when our second record came out, our second record, The New Fellas, when that was released, we put out a single beforehand, Hey Scenesters, which that was actually released on the day that downloads became eligible for the charts, and like Hey Scenesters was like inside the top 10 like all week. So it looked like we were gonna have a top 10 single, which was like, a kind of an unbelievable thing, especially for a song like Hey Scenesters, which was pretty abrasive. And our management at the time were like, oh, downloads are going to be included in the chart, but it's probably not going to make any difference. They don't think that downloads is going to be a big thing. And of course, it was a huge made a huge difference. But the reason why I tell that story is it sort of highlights how unprepared the music industry and how like sort of ingrained in its way of doing things the music industry was at that time. It just felt like digital was not going to be a thing. Now, like, I mean, look, we've embraced it in the way that you sort of have to do, but at the same time, I really miss that thing that like when we used to release a record, you got to live in it for a little while. You would release it, be that a single, be that an album, whatever, and you didn't know immediately how it was received. You had no idea. Like you'd be like Steve Lamacq might play it on the radio or John Peel or something, and then like you would wait for a week and you would see the NME review and you would see like these kind of things start to filter through. Then you would see where it charts, and then the only other difference was you would notice more people at the shows or whatever else. Like there was like it was like I used to consider it like you would release it and you would live it for the next month or whatever. And then when you put the album out, that would be a steady progress as well. It would it would move up and down the charts and stuff. And it was a that was your only real for us our gauge on it was like how the kids who came to the shows responded. But now you just get all that information very much on the front end, and there's so many metrics and statistics which we don't pay any attention to. But I know that the entire music industry does. So it feels
Mm.
much less. I mean, it feels much less romantic. There's no question about that. But this that's why we like to like go out to do in stores. I mean, part of it is supporting independent culture, which we think is like, clearly really important. And it's the reason why a band like us can survive. But the other thing is just to be around the people who bought the record, to meet the people who bought the record, to have that sort of immediate, visceral like connection with people rather than just sitting on your computer and being like, oh, like it's got like a whole bunch of streams or whatever. Like I'd just rather be around people and talk to them about it. So it's just trying to maintain that personal connection, and I think that was something that, yeah, back in the day, back when we first started releasing records, it was like it felt more like it was part of a culture as opposed to like being content.
I guess that shift is that from offline to online, and the stuff that is meant to make things easier then makes things more abundant. It's just like more and more.
Yeah, it's disparate. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's totally disparate, and I think that that's I'm not like somebody who's like I'm not like I don't like miss like gatekeepers or anything, but I feel like there was something to be said for the idea that the curators of things, like magazines, radio playlisting, whatever it may be, even record labels, like the people who curated um, what what got released and what got attention. Like you had trust. I had trust in certain record labels. If a record label released a record that I liked, I would tend to pick up stuff that I would tend to trust their judgment and buy other records on their label. And similarly with like, you would listen to certain DJs because like you appreciated their taste. You would read certain magazines, and I think that that element of discovery, um, it did foster a more uh, specific cultural impact as opposed to like this sort of sporadic kind of scattergun approach from digital, because digital is almost like just trying to drink from a fire hydrant. And I think that it means that things are much more transient and don't stick. And I just feel like there's something fundamentally destructive to the idea of the romance behind music, that things are
Mm.
measured in metrics. That's just something that troubles me, because I think the peacocks will always thrive, and then the people who maybe are misfits or awkward, the people who may be making great art, like they will suffer from that because they're not like apt at self promotion. Like I was never
Mm.
good at self promotion, so like it makes me feel like I wouldn't have been able to like. Luckily, like we came out in an era where it was still like based around independent record labels and independent record shops, and you could come up through those you could come up through those circles. I wouldn't have been able to do it if it like, I mean, I wouldn't have probably wouldn't have had any interest in doing it if it had been just a case of like promoting yourself online. So like I
Yeah.
worry about the generation of people who feel like us. Like
I
it would
think it's
definitely be
those
more of a struggle
people,
for them.
like you said, it's like the misfits. You need the curators to discover them and like let the art do the talking. Look, this could be a
For sure,
whole
yeah.
another podcast.
Yeah, but you
Um,
you definitely got what I was talking about, because that
yeah,
sums it up. Yeah.
100%, 100%. I also am gonna pinch your like drinking from a fire hydrant comment. I think that's amazing. Great visual as well. Speaking of which, I have the record with me, and you know what? Normally I start with the title. It's a easy place to go. But I want to say firstly, congratulations on 9 studio albums, top 5, and one that I think has a slightly new vibe, excuse the pun, um, for the cribs, like building on the music and what you already have in the foundation, but this like new lease of life. But so many people are loving the artwork. Like even when I first posted about this chat, the first comment that came in was about the artwork. Um, I'm getting a bit of like, I want to say sort of Queen energy with the heads. Like, we've got like a very simple but like new logo that just works. I mean, there are intricate details. You mentioned about the romance of art, and I love that there's a rose in there. Um, Obviously, Stranger Things has been a big thing recently, like since the 80s kind of vibe. So I don't know if that was purposeful at all, but I
Yeah,
love it
I
anyway.
haven't seen Stranger Things, but we did like, yeah, like I'm really honestly, like it really means a lot to us that people comment on the art, because it's like it's something we're from that physical era, and like and we never overlook anything like that. It's really important to us, and um really like the person who we worked with, a designer called Liz Hirsch from New York. We were really lucky in the fact that she does a lot of stuff for like cult records, and like which is Julian Casablancas from the Strokes label. Like Ryan had worked with her through that, and so we brought her in, and it was really great. It was just a case of like sending her uh like mood board ideas, and really like a lot of it was esoteric. It was more like um there wasn't any specific visual references. It was more like evoking, like a sort of a vibe, really. Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of the stuff we would send would be like either, a lot of the stuff from the early 80s, more than anything, like but like, yeah, like, fragrance ads, or like corporate posters, or like chocolate box designs, like aftershave, like it was all kinds of things that just helped to like evoke a certain thing without being too specific, and like, yeah, that early 80s kind of, that's when I was growing up, so it's always been really, yeah, it's very catalog on the back
What
cover.
do we know? What are
Yeah,
these? Were
well,
they
so
sent through?
so a lot of the imagery that you see, like I had a lot of there were a lot of photos that my mum took, that they're scanned from old slide photographs. Um, so again, so that the photo that you're pointing at, that's actually a picture of a TV at my grand's house, and it's very evocative to me, because like again, it's from the early 80s. It reminds me of it was like the imagery that you see there, the vase and the flowers, and then that little brass elephant. They're things that like were very prevalent in my life growing up, and so like a lot of those images are just like details from like family photos from like the early 80s.
And inside as well. Actually, I was quite surprised on this. I'm not sure if this is unique to this one, but I've got the Seagram green one. But you've got this like sort of pinstriped black
Yeah,
and red aesthetic going on, and then on the inside you've got this lush like
it's
baby
quite,
pink.
yeah.
And then I wanted to call it mint green really, but I am obsessed with that
It's
as a color pairing.
so it's I really like. I mean, the pairing's really nice. The color green, it we thought it kind of looks like a bar of soap, like a palm olive soap or something.
Like
Again,
those
very,
old school bathrooms that are this baby pink with the
totally.
green soap. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's all evoking like sort of childhood stuff for us. And but Seagram Green, that was the mistake. Like I'll just tell you that now. Like my it was I tried to type on my phone Seafoam Green. Like I wanted a
Oh.
Seafoam Green vinyl, and my phone auto corrected it to Seagram for some reason. And it was too late to change it, so that just became the name for it.
I
It
love the way
doesn't
they
really
didn't,
mean.
they just trusted it. They were
Yeah.
like, he knows what he's talking
It was
about.
too, no, it
That's
was too. Yeah, once I because we were actually playing a festival at a castle at the time, and I had really bad reception. So once I got off site, I checked in, and it was too late to change it. They're like, "Oh no, sorry, we've already gone with that." So I was like, "Okay, Seagram Green it is."
That's so funny. Um, well, yeah, no, it's brilliant. And then I also love that you have the lyrics on all of them. Um, yeah, it always surprises me actually when some are like so much longer than the others. Let's get into the songs. I can't ask you about all of them, but there's the ones that I know you've done an in-store, so I know that you will have spoken lots about particular tunes. Um, I want to know from you which tune on this record started the record and then which one completed it. And if it was even done in any sort of linear way, like was it approached like that? Did you know exactly what you wanted to get from it? But
Yeah.
yeah, tell me which one started the record.
Okay. So like the first song written. Um, well, the first idea that we came up with was Summer Seizures. That was written on the first day of we started practice session. We started writing sessions for the record, and Summer Seizures was the first thing written, the chorus for it, but we didn't finish it at that point. So all of the songs on the record, when we demoed them, we just called them like track one, track two, track three, like in the order that they were written. And Dark Luck, which is the first song on the record, that was track one. Selling a Vibe, which is the second song on the record, that was track two. A Point Too Hard to Make was track three. And it went on like that. But then we did, when it came to like, so interestingly, like a lot of the songs were are presented in the order that they were written, which is really rare for us. We never do that. Like track list, like coming up with the running order is really important. Like it's a really important alchemy for us, and like we go back and forth on it. Like we're notorious for recalling the masters like over and over again because we just want to like change the gaps in between them or change the order. But so the first one finished was Dark Luck, which is what possibly why it's the first one on the record. The last song's finished. So like we'd written the whole record. We were initially going to make it a 10-track record. We'd written the whole thing, and then Ryan wrote Looking for the Wrong Guy, which is track six on the record. He wrote Looking for the Wrong Guy at the last minute. And then as a response to that, I wrote Distractions, which is like I think Distractions was probably the last one written, um, ultimately.
It's so interesting because I often uh it changes as I listen which ones are favorites and which one are not. So I call them favorites in different worlds. But Looking for the Wrong Guy was one of the ones that I'd written out because I've loved singing along to it and it just feels quite bare. So it's interesting to me that maybe that one was almost left off the record or
Yeah, no,
almost didn't make it.
very much so. It's very much last minute. I was actually getting on a plane I just boarded a plane at the time, and when Ryan sent the demo through, and I listened to it that whole plane journey, and I really liked it. It was like it was really immediate to me. I can't claim any credit for it. I had no input on that track, but I do. I liked it immediately, and so like I can view it somewhat objectively, given that I didn't have any input on it. So yeah, I felt like that was quite an immediate one, and it was a last minute thing, as I say. Yeah, it was supposed to be a 10. We'd settled on a 10-track record, and then he wrote that, and so I felt like I should write one on my own too, which is where Distractions came from, which is how it ended up being a 12-track record.
Yeah, well, Distractions was the second one I wrote down as up there as a favorite in some senses. With I don't know, it just felt quite like cinematic and slightly different. It might have been
But
me listening out and about, but yeah, talk
it's
to me
funny,
about Distractions then.
it's funny you say the cinematic, because I was actually the 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 main riff for that song was a piece that I'd composed for a film, which didn't end up getting used, which I'm glad about. So yeah, it was it it was cinematically orientated in the first place. So
Amazing. I know I've got one more question before we hit the questions coming in. I can see a few there already. If you haven't already got your question in, then let us know. Has there been a surprising fan favorite for you on this record?
fan favorite. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people like Dark Luck, which I was surprised about, because it's not the most immediate song on the record, I don't think. People like If Our Paths Never Crossed, which we did kind of have earmarked as a single at one point. Actually, I just got a text message from Johnny Marr yesterday morning, and he was just saying like, "Oh, you need to make If Our Paths Never Crossed a single," and which obviously we always keep in touch with each other, but around record releases we always do, because that's an experience that we've shared together. So it was really nice that he thought of us, but like, but yeah, sending me a message about single choices, that's like I do put stock in that, because we have worked together on that stuff before. So that was one that's come up. I think a lot of the reviewers focused on Brothers Won't Break,
Mm,
which I'm really happy about, because to me that's possibly the best song on the record. But usually, usually the ones that I like the best, I feel like sometimes get overlooked in terms of them, in favor of the more immediate ones. So yeah, that's one that I really like.
amazing. Well, yeah, we could carry on, but we've got some questions to ask from people getting involved. Joe from the Record Club's Instagram says, "How do you unwind after a concert?"
It's really I have to, like, I'll be totally honest about it, it's really challenging, because so to anyone that doesn't know, which would be most people, like the way that the Cribs get, we have like a hardline rule where we never leave the dressing room for at least 2 hours before the show. Usually we don't leave the dressing room after sound check, so that can be like 4 or 5 hours. So we're in there the whole time, which means that we get really in the zone, but we also get really worked up without realizing it. So you build up this head of steam, and then you play, and hopefully you can like vent all of that pent up feeling on stage. But it does mean that, like, so afterwards you'll either be really drained and like worn out, or the alternative is sometimes we come off and we just like get into like a lot of that like built up energy is still there, and we can that means you either get sometimes we'll get into like arguments, or we'll get, or you'll
I was
like
going to say, who made up this rule to stay locked
it,
in the room?
well, what it was
Three brothers. That
yeah,
oh,
it's
I
a
don't
it's
know. Me and my brother.
it's a focus thing, really. It's like mental conditioning. It's like the way that I view it is like when I'm on tour, I may never go back to some of these places, you know. That's the attitude I always used to have, but I maintain it. I may never go back to these places, and if I do, it may not be for a while. So I want to be as good as I can be in that situation. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter what city it is or how many people, how big the venue is. Like, and our only way of doing that really, like we used to, like a lot of bands we would tour with would go out and have dinner after sound check, or they would go out and like visit friends. And to me, I felt like that was like taking my eye off the reason why I was there. It was a little bit of self-flagellation at the same time, but that's I believe that's why we've always been a good live band, because like we've sat there and like concentrated on the show and been that single-minded on it for like several hours beforehand. I think that's why we've been good, but it does mean that it takes a while to like, if you don't get all that energy out on stage, sometimes it can like manifest in a negative way post gig. Be really wound up. You might like, yeah, sometimes you'll take it out on each other. Sometimes you might just like throw yourself into partying or whatever else. But it takes a while. But the hope is always that we leave it all on the stage and we're pretty wiped out. Sometimes we just, sometimes like Ryan in particular, he'll come off stage, put a towel over his head and just go straight to sleep, like straight away. Like he does that, he does that quite often. So,
That's
but that's a good sign.
testament.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good.
Testament to the energy on stage.
I agree. I feel like it's a good sign. Like we're friends with a lot of we've got a few friends who are boxers actually, and like I speak to them about it because like they all have like different, you know, pre-show routines, like, but a lot of them they'll stay in the dressing room and like get really focused, and then afterwards, you know, it takes them a while to like come down, and it's like there's analogies to be drawn, you know, and I would view us as taking more of a pugilist approach to gigs than a musician approach to gigs. So
Okay. We have Craig from the Record Club's Instagram, which says, which song was the most challenging to write or record and why?
um well, I'll be totally honest, and I don't want to seem like I'm being like arrogant, but like I genuinely don't find any of them that hard to write, and the reason being is because um we don't ever really try to write. Like we'll enjoy, we really enjoy writing, and we don't, if it's not working, sometimes we'll just leave it, you know, just walk away from it, because then the negative association gets set in with the song and you don't enjoy it anymore. So none of these songs were particularly hard to write, if I'm honest. I I think the, as far as like which one was hardest to record, Brothers Won't Break was actually quite tough. Um, Mainly because it was written in a session here actually at my house. With it was just me and Ryan who demoed it in the first place, and then later we had to reverse engineer it and put Ross into the song. That was challenging just because the version that me and Ryan had done was pretty loose. It wasn't done to a grid or anything like that. It was pretty loose, and so when we tried putting a good drummer in there, it was you know, it was a bit of a challenge for him to try and like pick up on our internal rhythms. But I mean, luckily he's played with us. I mean, he's our brother, you know, like he's been with us forever, so like he's pretty good at getting on our page, but that did take a bit of trial and error. But everything else, I'll be totally honest, was pretty natural. Yeah, like we really try not to labor over songs. Like lyrics, like they can take me forever. Like that, lyrics can take me a long time. But I consider that like a separate craft to the actual writing of the music. You know, it's a totally separate thing for me.
So maybe more of a, I guess, a technical challenge in the with the drums.
Yeah, that's about as much as I can think of, really. Yeah.
Ellie on the Record Club's Instagram says, what's the most memorable concert or event that you have ever played?
As far as the headline show goes, we headlined Leeds Millennium Square in 2016. That was a really important night for us. It was outdoors in Leeds under the stars, which was really beautiful. The weather was nice. And we had Thurston Moore play with us, who was a hero of ours growing up. So that was cool. On a different level, it was amazing getting to like play with Foo Fighters at City of Manchester Stadium, the Etihad Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Just because I grew up, like Dave Grohl was my hero. Well, Nirvana were the reason why me and my brothers did this. So to share a stage with him at a stadium in Manchester of all places, which has been a big city for us, that was really great. First time playing the Reading Festival on the main stage was a total trip because like that was the festival we went to as kids. Oh, I mean, a lot of the things that are memorable to us are things that like were ticking off your childhood dreams. Really, you know, they're the things that really resonate with you. We got to play with Queen at the Isle of Wight Festival in 2016, I think, as well, or 2017 possibly.
I say big year 2016 for you. Yeah.
Yeah, but getting to play with Queen was a weird one because it's like that was the first music I ever listened to when I was like 8 years old, maybe. Like, so the idea that I would one day form a band and then like be established enough and they'd still be around in whatever form. That was we were on right before them as well. I was just like loading our road cases in next to their road cases and stuff. It's like that's just trips you out, you know. Like, but like yeah, being on stage like Reading 2012 was a really good show as well. We played it. We headlined the tent at Reading 2012, and that was a really great show too. The best shows actually you don't remember. You come off and you don't remember anything about it because you're operating on instinct and adrenaline. And so when the adrenaline goes, you don't remember anything, and like the instinct is what carries you through. You know, it's so the best shows I don't remember, like which is really great. You know.
I remember being right at the very front of one of your gigs, but it must have been about like 2014. And one of you launched a guitar, like, and I've got this very like grainy photo, but it was on my BlackBerry and I was so proud of it. And it was like the guitar in the light, like as it was being chucked. And
Yeah.
I still don't know if the guitar survived or anything, but I was like so proud of that shot.
That
Um,
sounds cool. Yeah.
but yeah, it was very rock and roll at the time. I was like, okay, I don't know how many guitars they get through, but this is very cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
People
I
get
know you've
uptight about that, but it's like to me, it's like people spend like thousands of dollars on like fireworks and stuff and like and streamers and glitter. I'm like, if we spend like if we feel like trashing our gear and it costs us like 500 quid, it's like fine, you know, it's part of the show. Like, but like some people blow that money on like just one burst of flames or whatever. So I don't get uptight about that stuff.
Hey, look, it's one of my memories from like my uni days, so I'm
Exactly.
cherishing that one
It's
forever.
valid.
Um, that's all we have time for. Very quickly though, I know you've got a tour incoming, a UK tour incoming. Um, which show are you most looking forward to?
I can't say. I mean, we're doing Millennium Square again this year, so I'm really
Sick.
looking forward to that. We've got a big London one coming up that we're going to announce. But I mean, like the whole thing, like the Manchester show at the Albert Hall and the Sheffield show at the Uni, they both sold straight out, which is like, which is great. I mean, it's a bummer that they're sold out and that we just, you know, that we didn't upgrade the venues or anything. But like, but the fact that already that they're sold out so quickly, it's like that. It's hard to like not look forward to those ones the most, just because you know that it's the most hardcore fans who are going to be there because they got the tickets
It's gonna
straight
be a
away.
vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's all we have time for. Obviously, Gary, thank you so much from the Cribs. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to get yourselves a physical copy of Selling a Vibe now that this episode is over. Support your local record store. I'm also excited to announce that the winner of this week's Bowers and Wilkins wireless headphones prize is Joe on the Record Club's Instagram. So if you could slide into the Record Club's DMs, we'll get those headphones to you. My name's Jess Izzat. Thank you everyone for joining us and sending in your questions. This and all previous episodes are available for you to watch back on Spotify or YouTube. I'll see you soon for the next episode of the Record Club. But the Cribs, Gary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Jess.